Call the meeting to order. We could stand for the pledge, please remain standing for prayer by Pastor Sid Doyle.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we praise you for all the recent work going on in the village, the additions of benches in the parks, for all these track athletes here tonight, for the new treasurer, help them to settle into the village council, this active village council. Thank you for the great weather, Pastor Tim Waters and youth camp. We ask you for your ongoing protection in every way for first responders, emergency services, success to the police, every direction and care facilities. For your comfort, Lord, in the loss of any family members in the village these past weeks. I want to thank you for all the work that's gone on for the forthcoming festival. We ask for your protection and blessing upon that for everyone taking part and providing services. That this might be a time of celebration for everyone there, the forerunner to the nation's 250th anniversary on 4th of July. Pray for rest and recovery. Pray for all schools, the staff and families. Rest this summer, safety. Many additions to churches and children's work through the various DBS programs. For graduates as well, Lord, in their new positions, new colleges that they prepare for. Now for every member on the village council, for President Mike, and for your wisdom, direction, and all the business to be discussed tonight. I just take a time for personal silent prayers. We bring all these requests to you. We thank you and trust you for your answers, your peace. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, sir. Start with a roll call, Lisa.
Mike Gunner,
Present.
Gwen Dusa,
Here.
Bill Gritzmaker,
Here.
Sherry Luce,
Here.
Ken Nichols,
Here.
Eric Rogers,
Here.
Timothy Waters,
All right, move on. Minutes for May 26, 2026 in front of us. If we need a motion to approve.
Move to approve the minutes of May 26, 2026 as presented.
I'll support.
A motion, Bill, and a second, Sherry, to approve the minutes of May 26, 2026 as presented. Any discussion or changes? Takes the call roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Carries. Moving on, presentations and communications. First up, and to that item, we do have a proclamation for Blissfield Track and Field. Welcome everybody from Track and Field, coaches and runners, students. You guys are the loud ones. The robotics team is much quieter. Must be the wild one. But I do have a proclamation in front of us tonight. It's recognizing the Blissfield boys and girls track and field teams for qualifying for the MITCA team states and the individuals who are qualified for the MHSAA state finals. Reads, whereas the Blissfield boys and girls track and field teams have demonstrated outstanding dedication, perseverance, sportsmanship, and athletic excellence through the 2026 season. And whereas through countless hours of training, teamwork, and commitment, student athletes have represented Blissfield Community Schools and the village of Blissfield with pride and distinction. And whereas the accomplishments of the Blissfield boys and girls track and field teams have earned them the opportunity to compete in the Michigan Interscholastic Track Coaches Association Team State Finals, a significant achievement and reflects the hard work and determination of the athletes, coaches, families, and supporters. Whereas in addition to team success, 14 Blissfield student athletes have qualified to compete in the Michigan High School Athletic Association individual state finals, an exceptional accomplishment that showcases the depth and talent and commitment with the Blissfield Track and Field program. And whereas these student athletes serve as role models for their peers by demonstrating discipline, resilience, and commitment to excellence both on and off the track, and whereas the Village of Blissfield takes pride in celebrating the achievements of its young people and recognizing those who bring honor and recognition to our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Village Council of the Village of Blissfield hereby congratulates the Blissfield boys and girls track and field teams on qualifying for the 2026 MHSAA state finals and extends best wishes for success in competition. Be it further proclaimed that the Village Council expresses its appreciation to the athletes, coaches, school staff, families, and supporters whose dedication and encouragement have contributed to this remarkable accomplishment. Be proclaimed this day, 6/8 of 2026. Congratulations. Everybody, and then much like with the past proclamations, we'd like to just get a group photo with council. If everybody wants to come up, stand in front of the dais here. We'll leave this in front of the coaches.
You're good.
Don't make me feel about
Ready?
You're the better. Got it. Squeeze.
Somebody pass it.
There you go. Hold the bit for me. Put it right. Gwen, you need a booster.
Cool. Congratulations.
Would you be so kind as to take a moment and introduce yourself and what event you guys participating in? I read your names in the paper, but I don't know who you are.
Kids and they are explaining that like way better than a council meeting. Congratulations. Awesome. I'm nobody. Talk to me. I've never experienced it. No. Already know what they did, but so long ago, we were in second year. No, that's not. I'm gonna go get Brandon right over
Yeah.
Are we done now? Sure. You didn't hear me.
You know, we're done with this, Lisa.
No, I'm salary. No.
I'm not really long here either.
We have a sludge. Oh, really? Do I? put
I
one
told
for
you to take,
Birdie?
I told you to take two.
Not, well, I, Birdie was in the car. And the dog, but they didn't need one. Congratulations. Amazing. They suck together, you guys. Congratulations. Mr. Bill, nice to meet you. I'm all right. Surviving. Yeah, get out of here. I want to go home. Probably.
All right, that was very nice.
I've never seen that. You've never seen that?
All right, thanks to the track and field team and coaches.
Right.
Yes, we'll move on to the public hearing. We do have a public hearing tonight for the truth and taxation for 2026-2027. Is there, let's see, I guess we need a motion to open that.
Motion to open the public hearing on truth and taxation for public notice. 2026, 2027.
I'll support.
I have a motion bill and a second, Sherry, to open the public hearing for the truth and taxation for 2026. Is there anyone from the public who does care to address council regarding such?
Roll call.
That works.
Okay. Gwen? Eric?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Sherry? Bill? Mike?
Lisa?
Thank you.
Now we'll open up the board for all those who wish to speak regarding truth and taxation 2026. Due to heavily numbers will be down a little bit. General operations 13.8635. Pool would be 0.28 mils, and the bridge would be 0.28 mils, and the pool would be 1.4 mils. And if there's nobody from the public who wishes to discuss that truth of taxation, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
No one emailed or anything, Daniel, I'm assuming. Correct, I did not receive anything.
Motion to close the truth and taxation public notice, public hearing 2026, 2027. I support.
Motion bill second, Eric, to close the public hearing for the truth of taxation. Please call roll.
Sherry?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Gwen?
Yeah.
Eric?
Yes.
Bill? Mike?
Carried. Moving on, the event forms for the River Race Festival listed on tap. Any questions from council for staff on those?
Yes. Daniel, I do have some questions regarding the approval for the River Racing Festival. A couple of things sounded just a little ambiguous for me, and I'd like to see if, I don't know if you'd be able to provide clarification. I'm thinking perhaps not. I was hoping Mr. Ellis would be here, but perhaps no one chose because they knew it had gone through. some of the other channels. I just found some things. On, I think it's page 2 of 6 of their document, where it says the approximate number of anticipated participants, approximate number of support staff, number of vehicles, parking requirements. I don't see any numbers there. And I've seen numbers on past paperwork, and I'm just curious, why no numbers were, entered into this. That's one question that I have. And it's 2/6 of their document.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Major.
And the other thing that I was curious about, I think I know the answer, but then now I'm going into page 19 of 173, 3 of 6 of their doc. When it's stating this part about special service requested for public works, the barricades, my assumption is they're putting up the barricades, not our DPW workers. Is that correct?
Correct. We provide the barricades for them. We usually take them down to the park and then they do set them up.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I thought. It does not state that in there, and I just want to know if there need to be any clarification on that. Obviously not, from what I'm hearing from you. And clean up after the event. I'm just kind of curious, what is the definition of clean up after the event? I know we have the Boy Scouts coming in for the garbage. I get that, and if I recall correctly, the festival will take care of the orange, fencing. But as far as cleanup after the event, I was just looking for some clarification on what that might be.
Yeah, so prior to the event, they moved picnic tables and bleachers. So they put the cleanup after the event is putting those back to where they belong. Sometimes it depends on what the weather is like. That means maybe filling in some ruts in the parks and things like that. If you get a lot of rain or moisture. And as the food trucks and vendors are leaving, they'll kind of run up the yard. So it might be putting that in.
And so that's the responsibility of our DPW workers.
Correct.
And then when they go over, if they go over the allotted amount, my next question is this, because I looked at the amount that we had budgeted. And my understanding is that if they go over the $12,900, that they will be paying for that. And do we know how they're going to be paying for that? And what is the time frame for that to be paid?
So they will be invoiced for anything over that. I have verbally told them, it's also in the letter. They have a copy of the same letter that's attached in the agenda with you guys. That approval letter that outlines specifically what we budgeted and the amount. I would invoice them. How they're paying for that, I don't know. I know you guys saw the invoice or the approval letter to the library for Art at Your Feet, where I put in what they're not co-sponsored. They funded that completely. I gave them a cost estimate. I had a hard time doing that with the River Raisin Festival, and I didn't want to create something that was not true because there's just so many unexpected or variables that could happen, and I didn't want to put something that would kind of lock us in it vary from that. Where Art at Your Feet is, these are our costs, and we don't really have a lot of unknown things.
1 day event versus a 3 day event, which anytime there's a 3 day event, obviously there are more factors and more variables that can come across. And that leads me to my last question. And this is probably the one that bothers me the most. Currently, we are planning on partnering with a yet to be named organization to take care of traffic control. I have an immense problem with that. Who is it going to be? When you have 3 days of an event, we know that the night specifically with the fireworks, there is a lot of traffic down there, and yet we don't know who it's going to be. We plan on having 2 people. In my world, this is just a little too ambiguous. No, there's going to be 2 people there. We're not planning on 2 people. 2 people will be at the main entrance, which will be gated off. 2 people at the entrance to volunteer. I just don't like that we plan on. I'm not comfortable with that verbiage. Honest answer.
So that part, I'm gonna jump back to your first question
Go
with
ahead.
the numbers. I'm really honest, they should have included that we overlooked it. I think, I'll speak for myself. I don't want to speak for the rest of the staff, but I can tell you that we were mostly concerned with what our services were more than our numbers because we are kind of used to the festival coming. So that was kind of our main focus, making sure we knew what they needed from us.
So yeah, we don't have all the services fulfilled because we don't know who's gonna be doing
We
it.
did talk about the security plan specifically, and we did follow up with them as well. Actually prior to approving this, so on that, I think it's page, let me tell you of your packet. Page 15 is kind of some of our follow-up questions.
I saw those.
And I think that was one of them was yes, number 5, who's covering security and gates.
Yeah.
So Chief, well, I think I talked to him actually. I'll tell you wrong. I followed up with Rick, who responded to me, and I followed up with Chief. And then since then, Chief has gone to one of their meetings as well. But they did remind me who's doing security. When we talked to them last time. I'm sorry, I've just got so much going on. They didn't tell us who. And I'm
I was
drawing.
more focused on who.
Yeah. They did tell us who though. I can look up and tell you guys who that is, but that was, we had those questions that you see on that page 15. We actually did not approve their application initially because we had all of those follow-up questions and then we went back and after we got responses and clarification on those things is when we then approved it. And I wish I could remember who you told me. They didn't tell me.
Okay, but you're Chief, you are comfortable who the people.
Yeah, we actually had a really good productive.
Okay, and you can see where I'm coming from. There was nothing stated there, and that's where we're going. With that. Okay, and then the numbers. I'm just looking at the numbers, just because. Well, what are you talking?
Yeah, we'll make sure that that's included next time. That is an oversight on our part as well, but especially mine, because I took the application initially.
Okay, okay. So those were my concerns that I wanted to just have addressed, and they've been addressed. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Danielle, the department comment sheet you mentioned, page 15 of 173. All those items there have been addressed. I mean, that includes the ones we just spoke of, but one of them that I happen to see is the O'Mara Park irrigation question.
Yes. So they had asked us to place the banner, in O'Mara Park on just like T-posts.
Right.
They have been advised that that is not acceptable due to the irrigation lines that run through there. We have offered an alternative of posting their banner on the skate park fencing. At this time, they've not indicated that they're even going to hang their banner anymore because we said no to the O'Mara Park, but they are fully aware of that. They also were told no on providing a platform for the parade. They requested that we provide a platform for the announcers of the parade. We denied that part of their request. They've been advised of that as well.
And I think they've got a plan for that then.
Yeah, I'm not, I think that they're planning to, I think they're just not going to have one. I think, but we will give them our microphone for our downtown speaker system, which they've done in the past as well. So they'll be able to use that to announce the parade.
Do we have a list of all the volunteers that they have that'll be working throughout the weekend?
We have their manager in charge, which is Rick, and that's how we've been doing all the special events. We don't want multiple contacts. We want a person to go to, they can figure it out within their organization, because that muddies the water for us. So our go-to person, they've listed Rick Allen, and he will be responsible for addressing concerns, questions, or anything that comes up with the event itself.
I know I had to ask a question earlier today of you about this shows up in our presentation and communications, and at least one of the other special events that we approved went through the whole council. And just so that I'll explain it if she doesn't, or I can explain it if she can expound on it if there's more to it. Because we had budgeted for this in our initial budgets last year, it's already somewhat pre-approved, or it is pre-approved. for a certain amount, which is the amount that you had in there, 12,000. I was just curious as to how that worked.
What one was in the presentation or was not in the presentation?
So the application and the ordinance specifically addresses that if there, because it identifies 3 different types of events. It identifies a village event that is budgeted, and it states that the approval is done with the administrator and the staff. So I've been putting those in your packet under presentations and communications, and those are things like the next one, Blissfield on Tap is a good example of that, or the DDA events. The other event that we have is the co-sponsored event, which is the other application that came to you guys as new business. Because they're asking for a budget allocation and for the event to be co-sponsored by the village and whatever organization is doing that, it requires council approval. I initially, when I got this, I was like, I'm gonna send this for approval, but then I looked at it a little bit. And because we already budgeted for the River Music Festival, I read that similar to like a village event where it's within the budget already, it's been approved. So then it just requires administrator approval. The other third event is other events, which is any other organization. It's not within our budget and they're not asking for any village funds. That also is an internal village administrator and staff approval because they're not asking council to spend any money. So again, the Art at Your Feet is a perfect example of that. We approved that internally. There will be village expenses, but it will be recouped when they get the bill for those expenses and they benefit of that. So one of the event that came to you guys was the Memorial Day Parade. And that one was borderline. So we did have it in the budget, but it wasn't specifically spelled out like the festival is because we've done that event in the past. This upcoming or this next fiscal year budget, I'm going to identify a line item in that. And any event that is not a village or that is co-sponsored, I am going to specifically ask you guys if you're still wanting to budget for that event. Because if you do, for example, let's say we do the Memorial Day Parade next year, then when they do their special event application, it'll just go under presentations and communication and not under new business because you then approve the budget for it. So we're kind of treating them all the same. This is the first year, so that was one that I probably could have justified to you guys the Memorial Day Parade, but I was like, I'll be safe, kind of better safe than sorry approach to that. But yeah. Hopefully that works. And we can, of course, always adjust if you guys are feeling differently too.
Anyone else? Questions on River Race Festival or Blissfield on Tap?
One more question, just comment. Chief, you had noted on Blissfield on Tap. I saw your note and it was, you're very okay with all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's been no problems. Yeah, Danielle and I talked about it, and one of the things we'll do about the camera to feel it out, see
Right.
how it played out in the last year.
Yeah.
Very poorly, it's mostly familiar faces, so.
Thank you. So I like,
All right.
It seemed like they're a little organized this year. The festival. Yes, I hope so.
We'll move on to the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Or motion Eric, second Bill to approve tonight's agenda, June 8th, 2026 as presented. Discussion or changes? Not Lisa, call roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Carrie,
yes.
Gwen.
Yeah.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Mike,
Carries. Good on. First round of public comments or anyone who cares to address council. Right, move on, unfinished business. We don't have any.
I have, please, if I may, Danielle, Lisa, can you, refresh my memory on the status of the rotary signage in the entrance into the park, please? You know, if you had anything new, I didn't see anything either. With me separate about it, that's curious, anything more with the lighted sign that needs to be
Updated.
Do you want me to take
It's
this?
up to you.
I can. So I actually talked to Lisa about this last week. We have not been able to successfully work with our IT on the programming side of things. I did ask Lisa to work on getting some quotes to get it upgraded and replaced, which is more than just upgrading the programming. So she's working on getting pricing. A few of the Rotary members, this is not a commitment, it's just a couple of them, but have indicated a interest in helping the village get that upgraded and back up and running. But before I can go to them with an official conversation or request, I want to have those numbers. So that's kind of our plan. But I think we're just to the point that even if we can get IT to figure it out, we're just going to continue running into this issue. Or we really just need to update it, I think, at this point. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep having these problems.
Sounds great. Okay, that was one. And then, Chief, after last 2 weeks ago, this discussion regarding the traffic and the speed and things of that nature. What is the status of those radar signs, the speed signs? Can you just kind of let the public know that they are out there, they are being placed and things like that?
If they're out there. We try to move more. And but to explain to Danielle today, we're limited where we can put them. We try to mount them on a speed sign, so you can see the related speed.
Right.
So it limits us to where we can place them.
And they're both working and they're functional and they're out there right now.
The batteries give us a problem because we were told they would last. I think they said 2 weeks and we're going to get 7 days on. So keeping up with them, but keep them charged, is a bit of a challenge. It requires an officer that's going to go out there with a fresh set of batteries and change them out.
Thank you.
Well, it's unfinished business.
There any further development on the Cherry Street property? Just an update. I know there was a mention in Brent. I think just said something. He was talking, gave a couple of names about the property. I wasn't sure. I didn't remember who those guys were. Just anything moving along on that.
Yes, we have been in communication with Alan Edwin. They requested quite a bit of information on our existing infrastructure in that area. And some of that was needed to be looked at or reviewed by our engineers. We gave them that, we gave them some as-built. I've not had any new requests, and it's been probably a week since they sent a request for some additional information that we got to them, but they're working on their kind of cost analysis and what's going to or could work in that area.
Thank you. All right, there's not further, we'll move on to new business. Get payroll first.
Move to approve payroll rates for May 2026 in the amount of $142,647.78.
Support.
Motion Sherry and second Bill to approve the payroll register for May 2026 in the amount $142,647.78. Lisa, call roll.
Eric,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Carries. Moving on, accounts payable.
Move to approve accounts payable for the period of May 13, 2026 to June 9, 2026 in the amount of $573,662.40.
Support.
Motion Conley and second Sherry to approve the accounts payable for the period of May 13th, 2026 to June 9th, 2026 in the amount of $573,662.40. Questions on the bill? Now, please call roll.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Carries. Moving on. Do you have the truth of taxation for 2026?
I move to adopt and set the Village of Blissfield 2026 property tax millage rates as follows. 13.8635 mils for general operating streets, 1.4 mils for pool bond debt service, and 0.28 mils for bridge bond debt service.
Support.
Motion Gwen and second Bill to adopt and set the village of Blissfield 2026 property tax millage rates as follows. 13.8635 mils for general operating streets, 1.4 mils for the pool bond debt service, and 0.28 mils for the bridge bond debt service. Any discussion? Anyone want to mention anything on that? I don't know.
Not unless you guys have questions. Carrie and I worked on that together this year. We learned some new things together, but I think have a good plan moving forward. Both the pool and the bridge went down very slightly, and that's just because our property tax values have increased. And we only collect what we need to pay the bond. We don't collect any additional monies for that. And then, but otherwise, if you guys have questions, we're more than happy to answer them.
Bless you.
Thank you.
All righty, there's no discussion. We'll call roll, Lisa.
Sherry,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Bill, Gwen.
Yeah.
Mike,
Carried. Moving on. Discussion regarding the traffic light upgrades at Main Street and Grove Street when MDOT rebuilds 223 in a few years. Amy, I'll turn this part over to you.
So I placed this on the agenda. We talked about this at committee of the whole, and you guys had some follow-up questions, and I reached out to MDOT. I put those questions and answers right in the packet as well. But I thought it might be a good idea just to get this on the agenda because I do need to get back with MDOT and give them some kind of direction as to how we're moving forward so that they know how to proceed with scoping and design and review of the entire project. So in one of the conversations that we had asked them is if we have to commit to it now, or if we can share that we're interested, and then make a final determination once we have like the scoping and design portion done and we know if it's even feasible. And MDOT did respond that we do not have to make a full commitment right now. We just need to let them know, yes, like that we are interested or we're not. We would have to make our commitment before they go out to bid, because any changes, and really, I say before they go out to bid, but in that kind of final design review is when we would have to make a commitment because they'll finalize that design and then that design will go into the bid documents when it's released out to the contractors. Because once it's then released, we're saying, yes, we're good with this and that's the side we want to do. But otherwise, I know you guys had asked about if a single diagonal mast could be installed instead of two separate. They did indicate that they could not commit to anything, but they could look at it in scoping. A lot of it will be dependent on, I apologize, not scoping, design. A lot of it will be depending on the space that we have. Also, one of the things that kind of came up when I followed up with them is that we could say we want the mast arms, and through that design work, they could come back and say, you don't even have the room, it's not possible. So something to kind of keep in mind. We can choose to do one intersection and not another. So we could do Lane and not Monroe. We do not have to commit to both of them. I did ask about grant funding. They said there is nothing that they're aware of. MDOT does not offer anything. I am not aware of anything that would help fund that at all. And then I do think there's some sidewalk concerns. And I know I actually went down and was walking around. I was actually watering flowers with Carson the other day, and I was down at 223 in Lane, and there is very limited. After like really hyper focusing on a mast arm, possibly going there, I'm like, there is no way this would work. But I'm not MDOT nor a designer, so but that is something we maybe need to think about. But anyway, I just need some direction so that I can let MDOT know what our preference would be or how we'd like to proceed at this time. And if you have other questions, let me know. I've talked to Colby quite a bit, but I guess too, as a reminder, they're quoting 200,000 based on 2026 costs. I don't have an exact date when this project will be, so there's a potential that it does increase.
Is that for both intersections?
That's per mast. So if we have 2 masts per intersection, you're looking at 800,000 for both intersections. And again, they come back and they can do a diagonal, then it might only be 200. There's a lot of,
But there's still the issue with placement. I want to put even that there.
yes.
Fine, no, my answer.
My opinion is comparing these two photos, I do not like the mast on the photo compared to what's there.
Cost for me, no. Thank you. Whether it's a single or a double, as well as the space, because I did that down there as well, and I went, oh, with the type. But the cost is the big factor for me, especially when we know when all that building coming in and our other responsibilities that are required with the line.
I think they look nice, however, the cost is not sway me to say, yes, let's do it, because they're cool.
I'm in agreement with saying no to this due to the cost.
So you guys don't make a negative motion, so if you know there's no motion, it would just die. I would let them know we're not interested. Or you can make a positive motion and then you could vote no if you want to favor. Just so you guys understand your option forward. I'm good either way.
Eric, Mike, you guys want to make an official motion? Or just let it go?
I'd like official motion because personally, again, I'm in favor of, and I know the money's an issue, obviously, but I think there's way the DDA working with it. You know, we've been setting aside some funding. And again, these are the wish list items that we talked about when we rebuild this on traffic calming, et cetera, and keeping consistency. But I get that money's always a factor, but I'm definitely on board for it. Especially since we don't have to commit right now.
When would we have to commit?
Before it goes out to bid would be, that's kind of our drop dead, because once it's out to bid,
So what is that timeline?
I don't know that.
Like, so here.
3 to 4 years.
They are requesting, they're trying to finalize their scoping so that they have a budgetary cost to go to request the budgetary money, and they're requesting it in the next budget cycle for 29-30 fiscal year construction. My kind of understanding from them is they don't think they'll get funding for 29-30, but if the request will stay, so they'll re-ask for 30-31, which is when they are feeling like they might get the money for the project. So then once they get the funding, they'll put it out to bid. Once the funding would be approved prior to that, they put it out to bid so that when they get that allocation, they can start working on it. But that could be, I don't know what will be approved or not, or.
So if we said yes, like to the 200,000 each. That's not a given, correct? That's. Price is gonna go up, obviously, correct?
I would be shocked if the price did not go up, yes, just because we've experienced this, everything is going.
Right. Okay. I
reality.
just want that to be
But I
clear, so
can't, yeah.
this is like astronomical.
So I think I read someplace in here, and you mentioned it just a second ago, that it's gonna be up to MDOT to see if where they're gonna be placed, there's enough room, there's enough, the soil composition, right, all that kind of stuff to support it. When would they do a site visit to determine all that stuff?
So they are, working on the scoping for the cost, and then they'll go into design following that. Again, I don't have specific dates, but it would be, they've actually already done a site visit. They've hired, yes, they've had engineers, already on site doing a ton of work, and a lot of design. They reviewed the bridge. They have a ton of photographs, they have measurements. So I think that part will be, I think it's gonna be tomorrow, but I think they're hoping to, the scoping will give them a cost, and then they can kind of go into that next design phase. Because again, I think the intent is that they start construction in 30-31.
Did they indicate or not whether, they could put it out here something?
Not at this time. They said they would still have to review all of that.
By chance that there's an accident and it takes out one of the accident takes out one of the poles, we would end up needing to pay for that, for its replacement or reparation.
I think whoever gets it pays for it. It's like a consumer's pole. You get an accident, you get a consumer's pole and snap it.
Yeah, I do think that MDOT would probably go after the insurance. I can confirm this with Shelby, but they would take care of maintenance. We're upgrading, so we have to pay for, could be upgrading. So we're paying for the upgrade. We're not taking over any future maintenance or responsibility. But again, let's say they, in 20 years or like, they're gonna do their most affordable basic design and we pay for upgrade, but not maintenance. Is my understanding. I can confirm that with them too. But yeah, I didn't really specifically ask that question.
But I think considering some of the things that we're considering and looking at budget, potentially looking at space, obviously we won't know until they do those assessments. I don't know that this is something that would be at our, other than to say, no, I don't know that I don't know for this. This does not come close to a high enough priority for me. If another organization, EDA or Rotary, wants to go after it, then I would say, best to you, go for it. But we're not going to do that. We have too many other things that are happening, potentially happening, and I don't want us to be potentially tied to this.
I mean, we're looking at the bridge.
And is this something that would potentially violate the rule about locking in future councils to this decision if we were to approve it?
Because if you approve it, it still has to go through the design, and then you would actually, prior to it going out to bid, confirm that is what you want to be included in the bid, and at that time commit to the money. It would not be.
Okay, I just want to make sure we don't do that.
Yeah. If you were saying today, yes, we absolutely will fund these, it would be a different story. But what I'm asking today is, are you interested in moving forward with moving that in the?
Is there any information that would possibly change those of us that have already expressed no? That's your question. Is there any other information that would possibly change our minds for them individually? Thanks.
I make a motion to pursue interest in exploring mast arm signal upgrades. Direct staff to continue gathering information regarding the cost and potential funding opportunities for this project, and final decision to be made prior to the bidding of the project.
Support.
Motion Eric, second Bill to.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Can we just reread it?
Sure.
Motion to pursue interest in exploring mast arm signal upgrades. Direct staff to continue gathering information regarding costs and potential funding opportunities. Prior to final decision being made, or final decision to be made prior to project bidding. Which would still give us the out of not approving that if there was not enough fund there to it.
Lisa, you good?
Yes, Danielle, are you good?
Yes.
Go ahead. All right, no further discussion. All right, Lisa, call roll, please.
Gwen,
No.
Sherry,
Schools, I think there. Didn't know.
Ken.
No.
Bill. Eric,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Fail. Special clemency agreement. It's just be a change in who's actually running Clemens, is that correct, chief? I'll turn it over to you.
Yes. Right now, Clemens is run by the, Lincoln County. Clemens had grown inside to the point where, they have decided it's better for Clemens to break off and create its own entity. So they would be their own, side thing, government type entity, where we take it and stuff with. But, breaking away.
Dave did keep with this agreement too, and it's pretty much the same agreement, just under the new entity. And all of the communities that are really, I don't know who's not on Columbus, but they're all going through the same process. So we've all been just kind of reviewing the same agreement as well, but I just want to make sure you guys know that too.
Last I heard, they were up to like 150 agencies in the state.
Well, I move to approve the Clemens agreement as presented and authorize the police chief to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the governing body.
Support.
Motion Gwen and second Sherry to approve the Clemens agreement as presented and authorize the police chief to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the governing body. Further questions?
Chief, will this change anything in the way you do your day-to-day operation?
Contractually, is there any change to costs or something?
No, there's things that are just changing basically the title entity from Clemens Oakland County to Clemens. That'll work.
Thank you. And our agreement with Columbus Oakland County will terminate, it's set to terminate on the end of this month. I'm forgetting the date, but they'll be, so they don't cross over.
Okay, not further, at least call roll.
Bill,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yeah.
Gwen.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yes. Carried. Reports. Anything else?
You have a question for me?
My question for Daniel. I'll just real quick, Daniel, I'll have the pool open and go.
Her cooking retired.
Yeah, I was exhausted. It's because I'm getting older, I think. No, it was great. We had a really, really busy weekend. Saturday was crazy. I got, I think, like 17,000 steps in, and I thought there's no way Sunday's gonna be this busy, and it was even busier. But we sold just under 400 new memberships this weekend. We did $10,985 and some odd change in sales between concessions and memberships and day passes. At one point on Sunday, I told Brian we're gonna have to start turning people away. We're almost at capacity. We were out of chairs. People were parked down Sugar Street. We did have 2 minor incidents that just required basic first aid, just Band-Aid and an ice pack, which I will say is successful. That bound to happen when you have that many kids. We have a lot of new lifeguards and concessions. We only have 1 returning concession employee, and they did fabulous. Our returning did great too, but I knew they would. But our staff did really well, especially with how busy it was. And I know those first shifts can be a little bit nerve-wracking as a lifeguard, and they handled it really well, even with how busy we were. Our people were kind, but they were very excited. They loved concession prices. We sold like 200 soft pretzels and 160 corn dogs. And, Lisa saved the day Sunday and made a supply run for me, so a huge thank you to her. And DPW, because we have, this is something not really related to opening day, but we're gonna have to think about is replacing the sand in our filters. Probably in the next year, just because it starts to get really hard and it doesn't filter through, like it should. So DPW came out this weekend just to make sure we really got that sand moving and had good flows, through those filters. So I appreciate their help too, but it was really, really good opening weekend.
And that was
loved it.
just.
But I hope every day is not that busy.
So that's just Saturday and Sunday, correct?
Just Saturday
Really
and
good.
Sunday, yes.
Well, thank you for all your work and your work as well.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I do have a question because of the numbers. I vaguely remember us talking about this last year because of some of the other area pools being closed and the number of village / non-residents coming in. Have you guys come up with a plan to be proactive in the case that we have the pool is full, for lack of better words, and your time frame or how if you're not a resident versus a resident? I pay taxes, I should get first chance to come in here. How do you plan to go about that, Danielle? Have you guys started working on something like that?
So we don't have an approach for, we don't treat the resident and non-resident member, it's different other than the cost.
Okay.
And one of the things that we talk to our residents a lot about is that the taxes that they pay for the pool, none of that goes to operations at all. That is 100% the construction cost to build the pool. So what our plan is, if it were at capacity, we will tell people that they will have to wait to go in until somebody leaves so that we can stay within that capacity. But it would be really hard for us to regulate, like, hey, you're not a resident, you're out of here.
Right.
Our capacity is pretty large. In the water, we can have 124 people, and the entire facility, we can have 318. So again, Sunday I was thinking, we're close in the water, we were close total. And that's, since I've been there, I think the first time we've ever been that close to capacity.
Well,
That's kind of our.
Yeah, well, you guys do have a plan. No, that answers the question beautifully. So I like how you're saying that. Your taxes do pay, but they pay for the building of the pool. Everybody else is on the same playing field here. And when someone exits, someone can come in. It's as simple as that. No, I love it.
We're working on the fee schedule for 26, 27. And one of the things just to be upfront that I am going to be proposing or introducing to you guys for consideration is increasing the non-resident rate. I'm not wanting to substantially, but I do think that there should be a little bit larger gap between our residents and our non-residents.
Jake, you had mentioned that before.
So I don't plan on adjusting resident rates, but I do want to talk about that. So I've got a proposal ready for you guys, and that's something when we look at the fees, we could talk a little bit more about. I did look at some other area community pools. I just learned that the LCS, that they've upped their daily entry to $15 per person. But pools are.
What was there before?
It was 8. So pools around the area are increasing pretty substantially. We actually have Bunnigan's out of Sylvania that is now coming on Mondays and Fridays with a summer camp kid group. Today was their first day. We had 34 kids with that group. It'll be up to 60 kids. And they actually started coming to our pool because the pool they were going to had increased their rates substantially. So it's something we're gonna look at a little bit and talk about during the schedule, but super great weekend. It was a lot of fun. It was beautiful. I wasn't sure on Saturday. I thought it was gonna rain and then ended up being really nice. And the finish looks really good. I think the water looks bluer, but maybe it's in my head. I don't know.
I was gonna ask you about that. The plaster seems to be very durable and we're happy with.
Yeah, I think it looks great. We had some compliments. Kids were not cutting their feet or like scraping their feet like they were last season. It is a lot smoother. So they did put going into the zero entry and then the steps, they put like a sand kind of grit to it so that there's a little bit of traction when you're walking into it. But once you get into the deeper ends, it is fairly slippery. We did vacuum it for the first time since getting it all cleaned up and filled today. Brian did, and he said that he felt like it vacuumed a lot easier as well. So I'm hoping, I hope it's gonna be good and work out, but we'll see. They also told me when the contractor and the crew that was here installing it, they told me that we should see less chlorine usage because of that type of finish. So I'm curious to see. I will report back to you on that if it's true or not. I will say this weekend with how busy we were, it stayed very balanced, which I was happy to see. Because one of the things we would see in previous years is our chlorine level would be at 4 parts and then we'd get really busy and it would drop down to 0.2. And we want it to be between 1 and 4 is kind of our goal. It did at one point on Sunday get to 0.9, but for the most part stayed within that range the whole time. We'll see.
And then the temperature, one of our heaters, having issues or something like that.
Yes, I have a service tech coming tomorrow. We had this issue last year too. And I'm gonna tell you wrong because I'm not an HVAC person, but there's little like tubes in there. There's a bunch of them that they're not tubes, they're like little metal pieces. But there's quite a few of them. Those need to be kind of cleaned out and serviced every year, I think. I'm just going to start having that person come before opening and just get it serviced and clean. Because this has kind of been a thing each year now. So that's kind of my plan for next year, but they'll be here tomorrow. But the water was 78. I thought it was refreshing and wonderful. With as warm as it was. So.
Good to hear that went well. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Public comment, second round?
How about council discussion? Do we?
Yeah.
Skip that early. So I have 2 things. First one is for chief. Any update on the service weapons? You said that those 6 hours that got recalled or taken out of service because they.
Well, I don't expect any new information on the SIGs themselves. We are starting to contact manufacturers to get some demo weapons to the community. See what we might be ordering for the next weapon. We have 3 models that we're looking at. We're just trying to get our hands on the actual guns so we can go out and test fire.
Send an email to Danielle. I think
I saw that.
Right. Good. Second thing was any update, Danielle, on the street lights? Brass versus black or something?
Yeah, kind of. Sorry. I did hear back from Claris, who's indicated that we have 3 options, all at village expense. We could have them get a hold of a local contractor and have them painted. We could send them back to them and they would paint them. Or we could order new ones, but they would not return those back because they're custom ordered. And they indicated that those were our options because the spec sheet that was provided said antique bronze. So I responded back to that and said, I attached our spec sheet that very clearly says black fit. And I said, I want documentation where what spec sheet you're referring to that says antique bronze because everything I have says black. And I want to know how a person that does not work in your company knows what ADC is, what that stands for. There's no indication that that's colored.
Right.
And I did not hear back from them. I sent that last Monday is when I finally got a response and I responded immediately. Last Thursday, I responded and said, I would like to know if we're getting a response or if you're telling me to go hold the item you're on your own. And I pretty immediate got a response back saying that they are working on it. He's gathering his documentation and will respond to me. And I've yet to get that official response back other than he's working on it. So I was going to give them until about probably Wednesday of this week and then follow up again. To see what's going on. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm a little bit.
Dog with the bone, girl,
Good girl, yes, good girl. So I will let you guys know what I hear back. I am also, Brent and I talked a little bit about this and he has, he knows somebody that, I don't know if it's his brother, I'm not sure who it is, but that used to work for a company that might be able to paint those. So we are going to see what they would charge us, just so we kind of have that for prepared. I also, and this was Brent's idea, so I can't take the credit. I also reached out to Sternberg directly, and I'm waiting to hear back. It's like an automated and you leave a message because I want to see if they would be able to offer us any help as well. Right, and so I'm kind of waiting, so I may follow up with them too. If I don't hear back, just see if they have any, because it's their product, so it'd be nice that maybe they'll stand by it, or I don't know, we'll see. I'm just trying to explore any other options, because if they come back with the same three they gave us, I don't love those. Yeah, I mean, I would be okay if they took them back and painted them even, because then the warranty would still be valid and,
Would they then warranty the paint as well?
well, they do now, but
Okay.
if we have it painted locally, if they would.
Right.
They would have to do the work.
Well, they should,
I think so.
at no additional cost.
I think so too.
Right. Why are we discussing this? I mean, why is this a council concern? I don't understand why this is, why. I understand that there's a concern. I understand that the company seems to not have been, there's a goof up that they did. But why are we discussing it at this meeting?
You want to focus, yeah,
Well, no, okay.
that's fine.
So
That's
we haven't
fine.
had any other discussion on that. I mean, I know it wasn't at the last council, so I don't know if it had been brought up then as well.
Yeah, we
So,
talked about it.
okay. Okay, all right. Yeah, no, I understand him asking the question now, that brings it to that, but
Danielle had brought it to our attention, I think, the last council meeting, correct?
I think it was committee of the whole that I brought it. to
Yeah,
your attention.
okay.
okay.
They're all the
Okay,
same.
that was the one that I missed.
What is it?
Yeah, we also authorized a lot of the payment for the replacement to the village, not just in DDA.
One last question, Chief. When did the vehicle come in service?
We're talking to the dealership today. It's scheduled to be manufactured in Chicago on June 25th. And we should have it the first week of July, so then it goes together there from there.
Carrie, apologize, I skipped you there. Things going good?
Things are going good. We just needed that final approval for get the tax bills and stuff ready to send over to the guys to get them ready to, to get the tax bills ready for them to send out to the customers and stuff. So, and get them printed. So we had to get your guys' approval for that. So we'll send that off tomorrow or within this week, once we get the meeting minutes.
Any more questions on the bill for Carrie? All right, any further council discussion? All right, now second round of public comment. Okay, if not, we go committee of the whole agenda preview. We got their next meeting next week, June 15th. We're gonna talk water and sewer rates, Waterworth. Anything else we want to add to that agenda? Anyone not gonna make it? If not being further from council, entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn at 7:10 Let's support. Have a motion, Bill, and a second, Eric, to adjourn at 7:10 PM. Please call roll.
Sherry,
Yes.
Gwen.
Yeah.
Ken?
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Bill, Mike,
Carries. Thank you, everybody.